Okay, so we are live on the Twitch. Okay, cool. Let me open up the eLicensing and look at the DRE.ca.gov application status, right? To make sure that everybody knows. Status application, there we are. And we will, Baba Ganoush, slow your roll, Baba. All right. Let's look at current processing times. So we'll just re-review what we just did in class together. So if you have submitted your 3 certifications, right, through the school, and your application, and that's all you're doing just for the exam itself, they are reviewing right now anyone that applied as of September 8th. If you did the combination of the 3 certifications, the eLicensing, and paid for the exam and the license, they're reviewing all applications that have been submitted by August 9th. Everything has to go through eLicensing now. We figured that out this morning. You can't just submit the RE203, no, RE202, right? RE202 application. They only have RE202A, which means that they'll give you instructions. This is the instruction form, but they're not giving you, they have like the application on how to fill things out. But what we had figured out in class today, in our chat today, was the license application. If you go to RE202, and this is, it tells you what they are. So RE202, let me make the screen a little bit larger, or let me expand it a little bit larger. These applications are only available if you have both applied for the exam using the RE400A salesperson, or if you're a broker, and passed. So basically what they're saying is once you have passed, they'll let you fill out the RE202 license applications, but you're going to have to log into your eLicensing account and go through the process from there. So make sure you get your LiveScan. You can upload your LiveScan form with all of your other forms, even after, while you're waiting for your application process to start. I think that's what Robert did, right? Robert, you applied and then you went and did your LiveScan. So if you want, you can actually upload your LiveScan fingerprint form to your eLicensing application while you're waiting for the turnaround on your application. But it looks like right now, based on what we had just talked about, that exams as of today is October 11th on Wednesday, that they are reviewing applications for just the state exam as of September 8th. And then if you did the combination exam, they're only reviewing applications as of August 9th. So for those of you that are concerned about the bias training certification and having that uploaded, that's a supplemental form that I've been asking you guys to do. And that is something I want you to walk into your broker that you're interviewing. I want you to walk in with your 3 certifications, or if you want, you can just have an application, have those on your resume. Let me start over again. Have a resume with that information. If you have great customer service skills, or if you don't have great customer service skills, but you have great sales skills, any of these other things, when you go to talk to a broker, you're selling yourself, you're selling what it is that you can bring to the table. Are you great with people between the ages of 21 and 33? Then that's your niche market, or that's your demographic. You should build a resume associated with that. You could have a cover letter saying, this is my bias training. That's that Senate Bill 1495, right? That's going to be implemented as of next year. Please, as my students, you have to apply at least for the state exam and submit your 3 classes plus your bias training certificate, because they're going to need you to prove that you have that continued education for next year. You can get it done now, or you can wait and submit it later. But it's legitimate. That bias training is with the National Association of Realtors. So that's what I was talking to you guys about before. What else did we talk about? Leslie said that she used CompuCram, and that CompuCram is like here and Prep Agent is like here. Like Prep Agent gives you the fundamentals, but CompuCram has more, the terminology is a lot more strict and it's harder. And the great thing about CompuCram is if you get the question wrong, I want you guys to copy or highlight the information on what it was, build an outline, and set that aside and have like a digital outline. So the next time you go through those questions, you can control F certain words and see if you can find it in your outline. Go, okay, I remember I got that wrong last time. I'm not going to get it wrong because I'm reviewing. And that way you can review an outline based on the studying that you're doing now. Minimum of 30 minutes a day. For those of you out there that are powerhouses that are doing 2 hours a day, awesome. You can do that, but I'm just saying, build up. Start at 30 minutes a day and then build up. But Leslie's got her exam next week, right? So I mean,
I'm cooking with gas.
you're you guys do listen to me. It's scary sometimes when I hear some of the things you guys say, but yeah, cooking with gas, good. You should be getting at least a mid 80s return on your CompuCram, meaning like 85, 80, 83 to 85 or above, and you'll feel maybe a little bit better when you go and take the state exam. But I did have one student call crying because she said her average was 93% on CompuCram, and she said that the state exam was really hard. She did pass though. So I'm wondering, I'm like, was it any harder than you doing CompuCram? She's like, no, it was about the same. I was like, well, it sounds to me like you probably did fine. But I didn't pass the first time, so I don't want you guys to, I want you to pass the first time. I don't want you to have to go through that process of finding parking and paying for the application. Keep all your receipts, your fingerprint, your LiveScan, keep your everything, all of your education receipts, so that you can have that written off at the end. But I'm trying to think, what else did we cover while we've been chatting for like the last little bit? What else did we talk about, you guys?
I think that was it.
That was it. Is there any other
That was great.
Okay. I was trying to think if there was anything else, but get your application information in. Dude, you can always shoot me an email too. Send me your resume. I'll totally edit your resume. Or what I mean by that is go, hey, add this or add that. I had a student that just finished her 3rd class, and she's like, Kathy, I'm not going to be good in real estate. I'm like, okay, first you paid for this. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, who sold you on getting these classes? And then the next thing she said, she's like, well, I work with I work with family law. I work with attorney. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're already in law. Like you're already working with contractual law, you're already working with attorneys. They may need you as a real estate agent. She's like, I never thought of that. So sometimes you guys need to, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, just ask me to Zoom and go, okay, this is my experience, or these are my life experiences. How can I make that work for this job? I can help you with that kind of stuff. I review a lot of students' resumes, and then I'm like, wait a minute, you have customer service skills for like the last 15 years. Oh, well, I worked in retail. Oh my God. Yes, you have 15 years of customer service, because you're dealing with the most difficult group of people on the planet. They're the people, because you're one-on-one with them, right? And when you're dealing with people like this, you can do real estate. It's the same, except there's just a lot more, chances are there's a lot more money, because it's more than $500,000 that you're dealing with that they're spending, versus, you know, a couple $100 on something, or $50 or $10 at Old Navy or something. But anyway, I'm serious. I've never changed unless I'm like crazy busy, and then we move it off. I'm an email away. I'm a Zoom away. I'm a text message that takes about half a day for me to get it now, it seems like. But I'm still here, and I want to help you guys. So, and we're recording this for posterity. So all right. But do you guys have any other questions, or can you think of anything that somebody wanted to ask? And we can do evenings. Or we can just record another one of these if you guys want to record another one of these. And I'll send this out. It's on Twitch immediately right now. It's live, and I can send you guys the link for that, but not everyone has a Twitch account. So I can upload this to the YouTubes as well.
I think the only question would be that people are confusing like sending in the examination, or like the exam/license combo, and then sending in the licensing form. Like I was trying to explain that, and then they're like, wait, didn't you just like send in? Didn't you already do that? And I was like, no, I haven't sent in like the form. I did the examination application, but I haven't sent in the licensing form.
The weird thing is they used to give you the option you could do, well, it's not weird. I mean, hello, how long I've been in the industry. They used to back in the day be like, well, you can send either part of it in by digital or by mail. So my whole thing is, it seems like the stuff that's being submitted by mail is turning around quickly. But Leslie, you're a completely different example of someone who literally got an answer back in less than 48 hours. I don't have an answer other than military. If you are part of a military family, or somehow they threw you into the military stack of applicants, because that could have happened. There could have been a Leslie Ramos. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Honestly, because I was like, I don't have no family in the military. Like
Yes.
none of them.
The only other thing I can think is that somehow you've been switched with a different Leslie Ramos or something like that. And then sometimes stuff like this happens where that you don't fall through the cracks, but you're dropped right on the top of the stacks, and that can happen too, you know.
That was my question too, because I was like, well, I know Kelly got it too already. I think
Wow.
there was
Yeah,
like 3 or
Kelly,
4 people that already got the confirmation, and I was like, oh, I haven't got anything. And my question was, maybe since I didn't submit the bias training, maybe that's why it's keeping me like out of, like, oh, he's missing something. Let's just wait.
No,
Because
no, because the bias training, that was just my way of saying, I want you guys to get everything in so you're not hitting, you know, have you ever been trained or been taught something, and then you get the job and then they're like, okay, now we're going to start training. You're like, wait, what did I just do for the last like 4 months? I don't want to start training. I just did training. I want to get paid. I want to get so I try to give you guys every tool that can possibly help you be a success when you walk in the door. I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't understand but I also know students who filled out information with other students and then got a letter in the mail saying that the uploaded PDFs were encrypted or something, and so they had to resubmit the paperwork to like a non-reply email address, and they had no way of knowing if that information had actually been received. And so I said, well, just respond again to that same non-reply email address, because it says non-reply on it. And sure enough, somebody got back and said, yeah, we got your paperwork where, you should be able to get your application in. So there's just like these weird things. I don't have a good answer for it. I'm sorry.
because I did call the Department of Real Estate. I was like, oh, I want to make sure that I did submit everything. And they told me, like, you just had to wait because you just submit your application on September 20. And they told me the same. As you can see on the website, we released. At that time, they were checking August 9, I think it shows on the website. And I said, well, it's gonna take me like 2 months. So I was like, I just gonna study through all those 2 months, and so
Oh,
I can
no,
retain
yeah.
the information.
Absolutely. And the thing is, when you've spent 12 hours a week with me for 3 months, and then you go with not spending 12 hours a week with me, you're like, I'm missing something. I'm doing something wrong, because there's that consistency you're used to. And then now it's that hurry up and wait. And you're like, am I waiting in the right line? Am I doing? So I appreciate that you called DRE. They're like, no, you're fine. You're like, you don't understand. We've been, so yeah, I study 30 minutes, 2 hours. Alex, if 2 hours a day is benefiting you, then awesome. I think 2 hours a day is awesome. I think that's really staying on target for sure. I don't know when you're sleeping with work and life and family, but keep pushing hard like you are, and keep me posted. We can do another one of these, as many of these as you guys need, as time permits for everybody, and record them, and we can have them uploaded. They'll always be on Twitch until they fall off. I think they fall off of Twitch like in 45 days or something like that. But I mean, I'll upload them to the YouTubes. Also, I have to do it in another one too. What's the other one? It starts with an R, because I had a video taken down because I gave out personal information. And I'm like, I don't know if I gave out anyone's personal information, it was mine, and I legally can give out my own personal information on my YouTube channel. But anyway, I think it's called Rumble. So I've been trying to upload, I only have one video there, but I've been trying to upload over there too, so that if anything gets taken down on YouTube and Twitch, it just falls off of Twitch. So, but study. What else can we cover though? I want to make sure that we cover everything so that, and anyone that didn't get a chance to be here can see the video.
I can't think of anything. Honestly, we just gotta wait. and
Okay.
study.
Well, then we'll just do another one. When you guys are feeling
Yeah.
a little anxious, or you start studying something, you're like, okay, this part doesn't make sense to me. Oh, because we talked
Yeah.
about FHA and VA, right? And we talked about how they were not
Yeah.
lending institutions, they insure loans. So they allow people to get approved to do the lending through their companies, but they're government they're government entities. But CalVet does all of it. It does the lending, it does the insuring, it does all that. So that's the only difference between CalVet and FHA VA, which is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. But lending, again, lending's very specific. Are you guys going into lending? Is there anybody in here that's going to get your real estate license and then go take the NMLS licensing and then get your approval with the Department of Real Estate so you can do lending, the bank lending as well? Because you'll have to go through the prerequisites for that. Are you guys going to go through that process? Sounds like a no, because you guys would have responded pretty quickly.
I thought about it, but I have my life insurance license already, so I thought just both of them.
Yeah, get it all taken care of. Well, you'll have to go through prerequisite training for the NMLS, and just like you did for your real estate license. Then you have to take a national exam, and you can blame the people that were in the industry like me, because the crash of 2007, 2008 put a requirement that there'll be additional education needed, because back in the day you could be a real estate agent and a lending loan originator before the crash, and then they're like, no, we've got to separate these things. So but that's okay. If you want to go that direction, there's nothing wrong with that. The one thing I would say is don't go into appraisals if you're going to do all these other things, because not once you become a licensed appraiser, you're an apprentice, and then you have to put in, I don't even know how many, it might be, I don't know how many thousands of hours that you have to be an apprentice in order to move up the steps to become an appraiser. So you're really, if you guys are trying to, get to the point where you're selling sunset, if you will, I don't mean to be rude when I say it like that, but if you're wanting to just help people buy homes and get a commission, going through additional education or different additional certifications is going to be more money out of your pocket initially. I think eventually it'll pay off, but pace yourself. You know what I mean? Get this one, start getting paid, and then pace yourself and get those other licenses if you'd like to. But Leslie's sharing, she already has her life insurance one. So she's actually, Leslie will probably be fine, because the way they monitor that exam is very close to the same way they monitor the rest of these exams, and the way they're written and the way everything's formatted. When you walk in the room, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I totally get it. It's basically the same.
Actually, for my life insurance, I took it right here in my bed.
Shut up. You didn't have to go in?
No, I could do it at home, but I had like a proctor, and she made me, oh my gosh, I had to show her my whole room. I had to show her under my blanket, under my pillow. No, I was wearing a sweater. She was like, lift up your sleeves. I had to stand up. I had to show her everything, my whole room, my closet, because she wanted to make sure there was nobody there that had no cheat sheets, I guess. So yeah, it was kind of like intense, like the first, like when she's like, do this and do that and do this and do that, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then like I have a vanity, and she was like, can you please sit away from your vanity? I had to sit on the corner of my bed, like, yeah. So they're strict.
Oh geez. Well, I did health insurance. I didn't do life insurance. I did health insurance, and I had to go into I was in South San Francisco or something, and the everything was set up exactly the same way in regards to the way the formatting, the computers, everything was so much. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think all state exams are basically the same. But anyway, okay, well, that's not the same. But you might be familiar with the formatting of the dashboard or something like that. It might be the same that way. I'm not sure, but okay. Ooh, that's stressful. I think I wouldn't have passed. I would have been like so stressed
pretty
out. I'm
hard.
like, this lady thinks I'm cheating. What if I'm cheating? You're not cheating. You're not cheating. What do you know?
I have to show
But
her everything. Yeah.
oh my God, that's insane. All right. Well, I am seriously a text message away. I'm seriously a Zoom away. And if anybody, we can do an evening Zoom if the evening Zooms work better for everybody else. I don't know why. I was like, you said Wednesday. I was like, sure. What about 9? But if that wasn't like, I'm really seriously a Zoom away. Like, I'm not joking. I think I could prove it now, but for anyone that has any questions, and if you guys don't want it recorded, we don't have to record these either, because then that's why I was like, oh crap, we could record it now. Like when you were like, is there any way we could do that? I was like, yeah, let's pretend, not pretend, but let's like redo the class as if it was as if we were starting with it. I'm like, okay, what else did we cover that I can't think of right now? But we can record them or not record them. They don't have to be recorded. And I won't record anything unless you guys are aware of it either, because that's not
Well,
how I do.
thank you for your time.
Oh my gosh, thank
I'll
you for
keep
your time.
posted when I get when I pass.
Absolutely. And then also, if you get an email from the Department of Real Estate, or if you get an alert from them saying that they can't open something, so a lot of sometimes they can't open the PDFs. And there's another thing that happens. Their system's been down a few times. So it is possible, at the same way Leslie jumped through the cracks versus dropping through the cracks, she jumped through the cracks and she's got her exam next week. There could be a situation where they're going to say they either couldn't upload what you had, or that what you uploaded they can't open. Just resend it. Just don't feel like, oh man, just keep checking and keep checking the status, keep checking on all of these things. And then because of the transition of what's happening with the with the website and the Department of Real Estate, I just want to encourage you guys, there's going to be some problems, but that's not a bad thing. We'll just keep working. We'll just keep moving forward. Have you ever heard anyone say, last thing, I'm sorry. Have you ever heard anyone say, sometimes I feel like that person only instructs to cause people to walk away, like
Yes.
from college, or I think they only, like there are people in every aspect of life that are like that. And I just want you guys to know that you can go through this whole application process and something, like not work out, and don't feel like it's against life is against you. That's just, it's almost like there's one person that's always got the hurdle a little higher than everybody else. I don't know what the trip is, and that might be why I over share, or I give too much information, because I'm like trying to counterbalance the idiot that does that kind of stuff. So we're here to, I am here for your success, but I'm also here. I might give you 500 things and you only need one of them. I'm okay with you not even using the one, but I want you to always be able to know that you guys can seriously reach out and just keep studying. And I'm really, I'm not trying to be the one that's difficult, but I might have given you guys way too much information. I'm not going to apologize for that, but I kind of am, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I might have like overwhelmed you. I'm sorry.
I have a quick question, actually. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, say you don't pass the exam, right? Do you have to wait a whole nother process time to retake
No.
it, or
No.
is that more expedited?
Oh, it's totally expedited. So what happens is you'll get an alert. So what's going on right now with the Department of Real Estate is they don't hand you, they do hand you a piece of paper, but the piece of paper, that's a CVS receipt. That's not going to help you guys. But when they hand you the piece of paper, they hand you a piece of paper, they fold it in half. They're like, please read this when you get to your car, and you open it up and it's like, you should have an answer within 3 days from the Department of Real Estate. But I know that the department, if you go and log on the next morning, you have an answer. And what will happen is when you log into your eLicensing, it's going to say you passed. And then it's going to give you either the option to do the license application information, or it's going to say you didn't pass, and it's going to show you what you didn't pass by, and it's going to break down your weaknesses. So it's going to, or your strengths. It's going to say, this is the percentage based on these questions. You had 90% retention of this. You had 40% of this. You had whatever. That way it'll show you where you can study. But then it'll say, click here to reschedule your next exam, and then you can go in and reschedule your next exam. And I have a couple
Okay.
students, especially because of the stuff that's happening in the Middle East. I had some students that had exams this week and they are checking on their family. So they let me know, hey, we're because I'm like, hey, I'm just checking in on you and see how everything is. They set aside taking the exam and they already rescheduled for later on in October. And it seems like they've been able to reschedule within a couple of weeks of that, but it's also whichever one you're going to. So the one in San Diego, the one in Fresno, the one in Sacramento, there's you might find that you have a sooner date at one that's further away. It's a further away drive. So it's just, you can check on the calendar.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. That's
Plus,
perfect.
if you don't pass, I think you had to pay again for the
You do. It's like
yeah.
$60 or something.
$60 or something like that.
Yeah.
I was reading it the other day and I was like, okay, if you don't pass, because I was like, how many times can you fail? Like, that the DMV for the license, the driving license, they give you like 3 chances. And if that, you have to repay but for this one, if you fail the first one, I mean, you can take as many chances you want through 2 years, I think.
Yeah, it's 1 or 2
But
years.
you
Yeah.
have to pay every time the
Yeah.
fee of $60 or something like that. I was like,
I've
oh,
seen people take it like 8 times.
Yep. That Mark Mark wasn't in your class. I think he was an older student or in a previous class to you guys, but he was in the elevator with a guy and the guy's like, hey man, he's like, don't worry if you didn't pass, this was my like 8th time taking it or whatever. And Mark was like, holy crap, dude, it was my first time. And he's like, and I passed. This guy, I was like, some people are just not able to take tests. So master, part of that is a brain thing. Like, I'll never do this, I'll never pass. Like, don't walk in with that. Walk in with the expectation that I am the 52% that passed the first time, or I am the 52% that passed the second time. Actually, I think the percentages are lower and they should be higher because now you know what to expect. You know what the computers are like. You're going to get an erase board and a marker. Check and make sure that marker works before you start your exam, because if it doesn't, yeah, it is totally, hey, Leslie, it is totally just a test. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm in the midst of, I'm right on the verge of having to go present for my dissertation. And I remember talking to a student that just graduated and I was like, girl, I don't know if I'm ready. She's like, you're probably ready then. And I'm like, no, I don't think I am. She's like, Kathy, you've done how many years of this? And I'm going to say the same thing to you guys. You've done how many months of this? And you're like, yeah, but it's totally the same. You've put the time in, you put in the energy, you've put in all of the physical aspects of this. You've taken on the amount of time that was needed plus a little bit more. You've studied, you've gone through the application process, you've done all of the things. Now it's just the test. Now it's the proof of all that hard work in your final exam. And it's not all of that stuff you did before, all of the retention of everything you did before, or even the minimal retention of what you did before, and then the cramming and the studying now, it will benefit you. It will benefit you. Just remember, for every 40 minutes you study, you need to give yourself a 10 to a 20-minute break, because your brain needs to be able to absorb everything that you had just read or that you had just studied. And it needs a couple minutes to, just like a good steak. If you guys, maybe you guys aren't steak eaters, but you marinate a steak, you cook the steak, right? Or you barbecue it or you roast it, then you have to set it aside because it needs to absorb the juices again, right? And if you don't let it do that, the same thing goes with our brains. We study, you guys have to give yourself that time to retain and absorb what you guys just did. That 20 minutes is going to benefit you. It's a study from Brown University. Brown knows what they're talking about, right? They're an Ivy League school. So they've found that people that cram for hours and hours, if every 40 minutes they would take a 20-minute break, they retained the majority of what they studied. Whereas people that just kept cramming and didn't take a break ever, they only absorbed and retained about 30 minutes of a 6-hour crash course of studying. So take that 15 minutes, take that 20 minutes, to retain the information. I know you guys can do it. Oh, you're going over vocabulary if you're in the shower. That's brilliant. It's gotten to the point where you're going over vocabulary in the shower. Yeah, your brain, you're constantly thinking of those of terms and things. And I've had students tell me, oh, I'm not going to worry about the vocabulary. You're putting too much emphasis on the vocabulary. And I'm like, okay. But the reality, and I come across kind of like a jerk as an instructor, but the reality of the situation is, what if it asks you a question you've never heard before, but you know what those 4 words mean that are your 4 options? You're going to be able to answer the question. Yes, vocabulary is everything. Contractual law is vocabulary driven. How many times have you guys seen a movie where there was an attorney or musicians are signing on these contracts, right? Or there's a divorce attorney, or there's a prenup or whatever, and they're like, didn't you read the contract? I mean, the devil's in the details. The contract, it's vocabulary driven. Look, I know you guys can do it. I don't have a question. You've spent this much time with me and my rambling brain. And what I mean by that is the 3 months prior to us just chatting right now. If you can follow me and the outlines, you guys can do anything. You know, I just, in the midst of the classes, I'll be like, oh guys, what about this? And oh, don't forget about that. But because in my head, I'm like, this is the last time you're going to talk to them. It's like, no, it's not the last time I'm going to talk to you. But there's that urgency within me that it's like, what am I missing? What did I forget to tell you guys about? Or what is it in this book? Some of the stuff in the book didn't even give you clarity. It's just like, oh, by the way, don't forget to use salt. You're like, salt in what? You know, but like sometimes the book would have these little things and they need you to deep dive it, but there's really nowhere in the books to deep dive. And so you're like, Manischewitz, what am I going to do? So vocabulary is going to get you so far. 754 terms are on the Department of Real Estate website, unless they change. If you guys study those terms, you know, but CompuCram is really going to be able to give you an explanation, even if the explanation doesn't mean anything to you. You're like, that's a stupid explanation. That one doesn't make sense at all. No problem. Put the stupid explanation with the rest of your outline, with the rest of the stuff you're studying, so that you can come back and go, well, that's what they said. That's what I mean by sometimes it's 2 + 2 is 4, and then sometimes it's geometry. It just is what it is. There's no, it's not that we don't have to explain it. I don't know if you guys have ever been in a class where the instructor's like, that's just the answer. And you're like, but can you explain it? It's like, that's how I was explained the answer. And that's what I want to share with you guys. Sometimes the answer is just the answer. And as we grow in the industry, it's going to make more sense on how to describe it. But sometimes we just need to be told that's the answer, so that we have that and like, oh, I don't know why that's the answer, but it is. In the same way, gravity's gravity. In the same way, you know, gravity keeps all our internal organs where they are, and when we're walking, and the levels of fluid in our eyes, and where they are, and that kind of stuff. Like it's just part of it. So I just want to encourage you guys, you're not alone. I know that you can pass. If I can pass the state exam, and I definitely have a lot of squirrel moments, you guys are with me for many hours. I know you can. I know you can. Vocabulary, CompuCram. If you want to start with Prep Agent has never steered anyone wrong. Sometimes Prep Agent's a good one to have playing in the car, or playing when you're walking the dog or whatever, working out or whatever, because it's at a lower fundamental level, whereas CompuCram is really talking in the cheddar cheese terminology, if you will. And so you might feel very overwhelmed by the way CompuCram is talking in your earballs, whereas Prep Agent is going to talk in more of a standard run-of-the-mill conversation. But CompuCram, the way you read it, the way you see it, the way you see the exam, that's very much so the way the state exam is going to be, because it's very clinical. So,
And on CompuCram, the math is like 80% explained better. Like they explain it so good.
yeah, and I didn't explain any. Yeah.
No, because Prep Agent, like I would get it wrong, and then they would be like, oh, because this is what you need to do. But I would never get it. But on CompuCram, it makes more sense for some reason. And I'm bad at math, guys. I suck. So if you guys are good at math, you got it.
Oh, and it is your standard run-of-the-mill decimal percentage multiplication, but you're only going to get a max of 3 math questions per exam. So,
Okay. Bingo.
so yeah. So they're not going to push really hard on the math side of it. And part of the reason for that is, well, there's a lot of reasons for that, but it's always been more of a how many square feet is in an acre. And then I've changed out a few of the stuff. That's another thing, is when the book doesn't really go into it, it's in Appendix A in the principles book, and we never look at Appendix A. But part of the reason we don't look at Appendix A is because we know that if we were to add another, I know that if I were to add, well, we don't do it per the training, but if I were to add another chapter, I think that most people would walk away from the job because they're like, holy crap, and math, contractual law and math. It's like, no. You don't, everything's already preset for you. Everything's already in the system for you. What are the commission splits? Not everyone has the same commission split. What if it's a, and it's a relatively easy calculation. Back in the 80s and 90s, they had these calculators that were like the size of phones, and it helped people like calculate out mortgage payments and stuff. We don't need any of that. You can go look at a mortgage calculator online to help people crunch those things. You don't have to, like, everything's been watered down to a more palatable level now, whereas before, and that's probably that's part of the reason why there were so many lawsuits, because people are like, they were talking in some type of mathies something or other. I don't even know what that language was, but they told me it's going to cost me $300,000 to do it, and I just assumed that's what it cost everybody, that. So there's a lot of that kind of thing, where it's not consumer beware anymore, it's agent beware. We need to make sure that we've covered the disclosures. So we need to make sure that we've explained it all in layman's terms. Ergo, you need to know the terminology, you need to know the vocabulary. So, but all right, I think
All right. Thank you so much.
I think we hit the mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kathy. Literally appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Oh my God, totally.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll upload this, I'll shoot this into Google Voice text, so you guys have the link, and then we'll go from there.
Thank you. It was good hearing from all of you guys.
Absolutely. I'm excited. Keep me
Thank you so
posted.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck, Leslie. Good luck on the.
Good luck,
Yeah.
Leslie.
Yeah. Good luck, Leslie.
Once I pass, I'm gonna send a huge message.
You know,
Oh,
she's cooking with gas.
Good.
With the balloons and the confetti. I'm gonna send that one.
That's awesome.
Well,
Cool.
hey,
Thank
come
you.
in. I want to have you come in on Wednesdays. I have any students that after passing the exam come in on Wednesdays, I pay you $100 for 30 minutes. I only need you for 30 minutes to come in and talk to the other students about how easy or how hard it was. And also, your time is money. You guys, your time is always money. I don't want to sound like that, but I don't want you to just, I'm not here to just glean from you. I'm trying to invest back into your life. So everybody has that opportunity. Okay. And I'll interview all of you guys. All right.
I'm excited to be in your class.
Okay. I'm excited to have you, all of you. Okay. Absolutely.
All right.
Oh, well, we will see you guys soon. Okay.
See you soon. Bye. Thanks, guys. I'll see you.
Bye. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you.